New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
And as the thousands cheer in the background, hi there, good evening to everyone across the United States and also around the world. It is time once again for another fun-filled, thrill-packed, and yes, guaranteed edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am the Reverend Michael Mangus, and I am broadcasting from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, in the extremely secure concrete bunker somewhere around Akron, Ohio, that is so top secret. It requires a high level of security even to get near it. And only one person, and that is my producer, Diego Reyes. Only he knows where the top secret bunker is located. Everyone else, including my boss, the Reverend Robert Brzezinski, has no clue where the top secret bunker is located, and we're going to keep it that way. Well, listen, we have a wonderful show for you this evening. This is recorded, so feel free to go ahead and to add your comments. And for all my shy people out there, I know you're out there. It's okay to send me an email. All right? pastormichaelmangus at gmail.com. pastormichaelmangus at gmail.com. It's kind of difficult for me to read them on the air, but again, afterwards, I go ahead and take a look at the email and see who wrote. pastormichaelmangus at gmail.com. So the purpose of our Fireside Chat is to talk about contemporary issues from a New Thought perspective. And as I have said time and time again on this broadcast, is that I want us all to have a new thought about what is going on in the world and the role that we play in it. We talk about at our centers, and all the authors also talk about the whole idea of oneness. We are all one. So if we're all one, then we have an opportunity then to use our oneness to change the planet. So that's the opportunity that we have. My special guest this evening in the second half of our program is author Lynn Lok-Payne. I purchased Lynn's books on Amazon and was extremely impressed with her writing and her message. Lynn is the author of 2 books, Speak This, Not That, Positive Affirmations to Have a Better Day, and a wonderful book to go through, especially if you're going through a period of change called Wake Up, Change Up, and Rise Up. Lynn has quite a story to tell about her husband suddenly passing away and then 3 weeks later having a fire at her house. Wow. So she was down to almost nothing. And so it was through her deciding to change, deciding to make lemonade out of lemons, that her life has been transformed. And so she's now writing about it. So Lynn Lok-Payne, our guest here in the second half of our program. Well, all of us associated with Centers for Spiritual Living attended Vista Conference last week, 2023, which was a virtual conference. I would like to say congratulations to our brand new spiritual leader, the Reverend Sonny Cantrell Smith, who's from Lexington, Kentucky, who was elected our new spiritual leader at the conference. The speakers we had were absolutely outstanding, including an inspirational message from CSL Youth Representative Reed Brzezinski. If that name sounds familiar, especially the last one, he is the son of the Reverend Robert and Laura Brzezinski of our network here. And I do have my permission from Reverend Robert to dye my hair green. Like Reed had. I better not. It's coming up to wedding season and brides don't like you to have green hair. So thank you to the CSL events team. You did a marvelous job, a great event. They had 3 separate locations around the country, and to coordinate all that, make all that work, really showed a lot of back end work. So again, CSL events team, thank you so very much. And we'll see you next year at our yearly conference, which will be live somewhere. It has not been determined yet. All right, let's briefly check the news here from CNN. And we start off in Ukraine. Today marks 1 year since the start of the Russian full-scale invasion of the Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that despite all the hardships resulting from the war, 2023 will be a major turning point in the conflict. It was a year of pain, sorrow, faith, and unity. And this year we may remain invincible. We know that 2023 will be our year of victory. Zelensky said in a statement, many residents have left the capital of Kyiv today, fearing a new wave of potential Russian attacks. Also, meanwhile, Ukraine has called on all of its allies to redouble their support at this critical stage of the war. Ukrainian foreign minister said today, and also National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has also vowed that the U.S. would do everything it could to get Ukraine the key equipment it needs. Although he said the F-16 fighter jets, which Kyiv has requested, were not the key capability needed for right now. So this week at Vista, we heard a report from our centers in Ukraine. There have been a group, mainly from the United States, made up of ministers and practitioners, who have kept in contact with them daily. I remember one of the reports about one of our Ukrainian practitioners apologizing for the air raid sirens going off in the background. How would you like to live there? So our prayers for peace continue for Ukraine and also for the other troubled areas of the world, including the Mideast, Africa, and South America. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind, wrote about a day when all war will cease, because humanity will finally recognize the divinity in all of us. So we in New Thought continue our prayers and efforts in creating a world that does work for everyone. Next story is one that's close to home here. Federal officials have released an initial report on Thursday concluding that the toxic train wreck or toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, was completely preventable. I always know a native because the newscasters call it East Palestine, long E. It's about an hour away from our super secret concrete bunker. The report from the government found that one of the train cars carrying plastic pellets was heated by a hot axle that sparked the initial fire. According to Jennifer Homendy, who is the chair of the safety board, as the temperature of the bearing got hotter on the car, the train passed by two wayside defect detectors that did not trigger an audible alarm message because of the heat threshold was not met at that point. A third detector eventually picked up the high temperatures, but it was too late by then. The report outlined how investigators will continue examining the procedures, the practices, and the design prior to the train's derailment. And so far, the investigation found no evidence that the crew did anything wrong prior to the incident. And I would also add this too, that derailments happen frequently here in Ohio, with our state being crisscrossed by train tracks. And as I wrote this earlier this morning, I heard a train whistle blowing in the background from our local tracks. And this incident could have been prevented. May we learn the lessons that we need to learn from what happened. And it was first reported that there were no hazardous chemicals on board the train. We later found out that was not the case. So my prayer for wisdom and peace for the people of East Palestine continues, and that we're able then to move through this. We have a winter storm that's moving across the U.S. It's causing numerous power outages, flight cancellations, and road closures, and has put millions of people under weather warnings. More than 828,000 customers are without power this morning due to the weather, according to poweroutage.us. Millions of others are under various alerts across the West, into the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes region, New York, and also New England. And in a rare event, some areas of Southern California will be under a blizzard warning today, the National Weather Service said. Meanwhile, temperatures are heating up across the Southeast, where at least 50 record highs were reported on Thursday. The dueling winter storms and southern heat created a stark 100-degree temperature difference between the Northern Rockies and the South earlier this week. So if you're under severe weather, just put another log in the fire and get yourself some cocoa and stay in this weekend. Also in other news this week, Minnesota Democratic Governor Tim Walz is poised to sign a bill that would speed up the right to vote for ex-felons. Walz is expected to sign legislation referred to as the Restore the Vote by its supporters into law early next week, his office said. The bill will go ahead and restore the voting rights of thousands of convicted felons this summer once they leave prison instead of after they completed parole. The bill, though, has been and continues to have legal challenges and contentious political debate. Removing the obstacles to vote for former felons have been the subject of partisan bickering in some states because of the perception that this group of voters is more likely to support Democratic candidates. It was interesting during our convention last week that we had a workshop on restorative justice. My question here is, does our system of justice continue to punish individuals even after jail time? Ex-felons have a hard enough time getting employment after prison, with some jobs, including some clergy positions, not available to them. So to give individuals the right to vote adds some dignity and responsibility to their lives. My opinion. If you're wondering what you're watching this evening, hi there. This is the Friday evening fireside chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Michael, and I'm just going through the news here quickly before we have our guest on, author Lynn Lok-Payne. She'll be our special guest here in just a few moments. Our last article this evening covers something that I have been taking a look at and have been talking about and also covering here on the Fireside Chat. Southern Baptist Convention this week disfellowshipped Saddleback Church over the role of women as pastors. The SBC leadership disfellowshipped Saddleback Church from the convention on Tuesday, concluding a long-running debate about one of the largest and most well-known churches in the denomination. The executive committee approved similar recommendations for 5 other churches, one being a sex abuse-related issue, and 4 others for women serving in the senior pastor role. There is a mechanism, though, for the churches to appeal the decision. With its 23,000 members in 12 locations in Southern California, with its flagship campus in Lake Forest, California, Saddleback is a household name in American evangelical Christianity that long flourished under the leadership of Pastor Rick Warren, who was the author of The Purpose-Driven Life. Warren retired from Saddleback last August, handing the reins to pastors Andy and Stacy Wood. Warren thanked his supporters in a tweet late Tuesday in response to Saddleback's disfellowship. "Friends worldwide, I am so touched by your love," Warren said. "We will respond to the Southern Baptist Convention in our time and way through direct channels." Even before Warren announced his retirement and the Woods as his successors last year, Saddleback has been at the center of a multi-year controversy in the SBC over the role of women in church leadership. In May of 2021, the California church ordained its first 3 women pastors. Southern Baptists have a complementarianism. I said it right. It's a theological idea that teaches that men and women have certain assigned roles based upon the writings of the Apostle Paul. I kind of knew this was coming. The Southern Baptist and other denominations have long believed that women should not hold the office of minister or pastor based upon their interpretation of Paul's letters to the churches in the New Testament. New Thought, though, has had a long tradition of honoring the call of ministry, no matter if you are male or female. Again, even in our own organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, we just elected a woman to be our spiritual leader. The Bible itself is a very misunderstood book. It's been used for centuries to give justification to slavery, to disempower women, and also to condemn individuals for loving someone of the same sex. And even though that there have been some religious denominations that have said enough is enough, again, it continues on in many churches today. And women, even in those denominations that allow women ministers and priests, especially the Episcopalian Church, still receive pushback and abuse from their male colleagues. Pastor Rick Warren and I probably are on opposite ends theologically. However, his stand to ordain women was a brave one to take, especially within the SBC. And he probably received monies from the SBC to start up Saddleback Church. And other Baptist churches outside the SBC are starting to allow women clergy in the pulpit. How about that? Well, that's our take on the news this week. Hi there. This is the Friday evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. We are recording a little early today to accommodate our wonderful author here, Lynn Lok-Payne, who will be with us in just a moment. Let's go and take a look at our announcements, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll be back on with our special guest here. Yours truly is currently parking himself at Summit CSL. For more information, go to summitcsl.org. There you will find information about our wonderful Sunday gathering online at 10:30 Eastern, at 7:30 Pacific time. Yes, we do have people from California that go ahead and tune in our broadcast that early in the morning. So grab your cup of coffee, your tea, your espresso, your chai tea, whatever you would like, and please join us. I do believe that we have one of the best services in New Thought is because we balance the 3 M's, and that is message, music, and meditation. And this Sunday, our speaker will be New Thought Media superstar, the Reverend Michael Mangus. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll be speaking upon positive prayer or spiritual mind treatment. Go on summitcsl.org for more information how to join our Zoom call. And our service is also simulcast on the Summit Spiritual Center of Akron Facebook page, and also our Facebook page also has past broadcast of the Fireside Chat and yours truly when he is doing praying on the New Thought Media Network. We have prayer every day, 7 days a week at 8:15 in the morning, 8:15 in the evening Mountain Time. So if you think you don't have a prayer in the world, you do with us. So again, just please join us. It's absolutely wonderful. And if you could, take a look at our wonderful website, newthoughtmedia.org. We are doing just some wonderful things. We have now well over 30 hours of programming each and every week for you. Everything is archived also on our YouTube page. If you could go to the donate page and prayerfully consider giving either a one-time gift, or if you could be a monthly partner like I am. Sustaining monthly gifts really helps us in budgeting and also the paying of salaries. So it really gives us some stability. So if you could, again, we are taking this message to the world. And one of the things I heard from the conference, again, from some ministers, is saying that, well, New Thought is one of the best kept secrets out there. Well, there are organizations such as ours that are getting the message out there. And again, we're also partnering with other churches and helping them too. Our programming is just outstanding. So again, go to ntmedia.org/donate. And again, we really appreciate your support more than you will ever know. All right. Okay, before we have on Lynn Lok-Payne here, we're going to sell some soap and then we'll be right back. This is the Friday evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
It is such an honor to have on this evening author Lynn Lok-Payne. I purchased her books about a month and a half ago. Extremely impressed by them. She's the author of 2 books, which is Wake Up, Change Up, and Rise Up. And her latest book is called Speak This, Not That. And that's positive affirmations to have a better day. Lynn has quite a story of coming back, of again, taking the lemons in her life and turning them into lemonade. And what just a wonderful example of what life can be when you make the right choices. So it is my privilege and pleasure to have on our show Lynn Lok-Payne. Good evening here on the New Thought Media Network. Good to have you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
All right. So kind of give us what started you getting involved in self-development, change. What happened in your life that had you make a shift in your life?
Well, about 10 years ago, my husband unexpectedly died. And, when you're not not planning the death, not knowing someone is sick, and then all of a sudden they're just gone. It's devastating. Then about 3 weeks later, a fire took out a portion of our home, and my daughter and I had to move out for 7 months while it was rebuilt. Not being able to grieve in the comfort of my own home took away my security. I mean, I felt just so lost. I fell into a deep depression. And then about 3 months later, I decided that I needed to start living again. And it took me several years. This was not a quick fix or anything, but I started to look for good things. Like on a walk, I would see a hummingbird that would be flying next to me or whatever. And I started to appreciate just little things. And then that got me to start writing my feelings down of everything that happened. And at first, it was just therapy. I was not a writer or anything. I was just writing down to process everything that had happened in my emotions. But I don't even know how to describe this, but I felt like I had to write. I had to get whatever was in me inside. It was almost sometimes like I felt like I was just a stenographer from some outside group, and I would just write for 2 hours straight. It was automatic writing. It would just keep coming. And that eventually turned into a book. That first book, Wake Up, Change Up, Rise Up, took me about 6 years on and off to write. The second one was 6 months. That was much easier. But I just decided that I needed, when my husband died, my daughter was 16, and I decided that I needed to get better for her. And that's how I became a writer. I always feel like happiness is a choice, that, everybody has bad things. It's just life. We all have our ups and downs, our ebbs and flows. And I think the hard times, if we can move through them, I don't know if we ever overcome them, but if we can move through them, then we learn lessons, and those lessons and our stories can help somebody else. Like yesterday, I just got an email from a person in Marietta, Georgia, that had lost her best friend 10 years ago. And she saw my post and reached out to me, and we had a conversation. And I think that we can help others. We might not be going through exactly what someone else has, but I think we all share struggle, challenges, and obstacles we have to overcome. And when we share our stories, we can connect to each other in a much deeper way. And I really believe that we're all connected. I love the quantum physics where everything is connected, and a cell here can affect another cell or an atom across the world. It fascinates me.
I've had friends that have gone into spirituality through quantum physics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting leap. So talk to us about how you made that choice to live. And the reason I ask this is because I've had friends of mine, people that I've known, that have gone through similar experiences. What they have done is basically my life's over. I can't do anything else. So what was in you that said, I really need to wake up and to smell the coffee and to go on with my life? Was there, besides the events that you talked about, were there other things or synchronicities that went on to make you decide to do what you're doing now?
I think that I just woke up one morning a few months later, and I made a decision. And yes, it was a conscious decision that I needed to start living again. I was 48 when my husband died. And do I want to spend the next 40 years or whatever I have left being in this sorrow place? And I decided I didn't. And as I said before, it took me a long time. Maybe you take 2 steps forward to take 1 back, but eventually you have to start looking for the good. You have to start finding what makes you happy. And for everybody, that's a different timeline. My timeline is not the same as everybody else's. I know people that after 6 months after they've lost their spouse were doing better. I know people that it's been over 10 years and they're not doing better. But I think you have to make a decision to work through the grief. I had postpartum depression, so I had had depression before. So when my husband died, I knew I needed to feel my emotions. I wanted to get to that bottom place where I had to break open because I knew I needed to do that before I move forward. Like my therapist had said that, because I started going to therapy after my husband in the fire, she had said, you can either process it now or it will show up at some unexpected time and maybe in a different way, and you're reacting out of something different and you're not relating that it's coming from the grief that you never handled. So I let myself just feel all those emotions so I can move through them.
We're talking with author Lynn Lok-Payne, her wonderful 2 books called Wake Up, Change Up, and Rise Up, and her latest one called Speak This, Not That. That's positive affirmations to have a better day. I'm currently, I have a friend of mine who's going through grief. He lost his wife about 18 months ago. And what I started to notice was in me, not him, but in me, kind of a frustration about, well, why don't you make some choices here and do some other things? Because I know that your wife, you're on the other side, would want you to do that. So how do we support people through grief? What were some of the things that people said to you to support you while you were going through this process?
Well, one thing you should never say is get over it. Everybody has their own timeline on how to handle it. For me, hearing stories about Dawn really help me to get over it. And one thing I want to point out is that just listening, you can sit with someone and just listen to them talk. Sometimes they just need to vent. Other times it's okay just to both of you sit in silence. It's just knowing that someone else is there and they care to help you move forward. I had one of my best friends would call me every Friday for a year to make sure that I was doing okay. And for the most part, she just let me talk. And that's what I needed to process my emotions.
How wonderful. All right. So your first book, Wake Up, Change Up, Rise Up, is more of kind of a practical guide for change. So tell us a little bit about the book and how should the reader go through it?
Well, you don't have to go through, there's like 27 short chapters, and you don't have to go through it just starting from the beginning through the end. The first part, Wake Up, that's more about positive thinking, how we're all connected, we're all one. It talks about meditation, talks about joy, joy is a choice. The second part, change up, excuse me. That's more deep about changing our thoughts, changing our negative beliefs and thinking, many of which are false narratives that we tell ourselves. It talks about getting through grief and loss and transition. And then the third part is about just finding you, because everybody's different. So it's finding what brings you happiness, what brings you joy, finding your purpose, laughter, dance, music. It's more uplifting. And at the end of each chapter, you have an exercise or two to go through to help you process it. And I also included a playlist with about 5 songs, because I think music can really speak to the heart. And sometimes we hear a song and we think, oh my gosh, that musician made that song. That's my life. That's my story. That we really can connect on a deeper level with that.
So disc jockey and author.
Disc jockey and author. At first I actually had put which I didn't know you couldn't do, but I had put like a verse from a song, and my editor goes, oh, no, Lynn, you can't do that. Do a playlist instead. So that's what I did. But music has always been central part of my life. Always.
So talk to us about, and I'd like you to take your latest book, Speak This, Not That. and I want you to kind of do the spiritual shuffle through it, and then pick a page, and then just read it.
Okay. So this one is called "Have Trouble Accepting Myself." Instead,
Okay,
speak
so
this.
I'm sorry.
When I
that
drop
you,
the,
you,
oh, I'm
you
sorry.
froze a little bit. So if you can go ahead.
Oh, did I?
say
Okay, I'll
that
start
again.
over. Okay, so I have trouble accepting myself. Instead, speak this. When I drop the woulda, shoulda, coulda, I find peace. Or I accept all parts of me, the good, the bad, and everything in between. All parts serve a purpose, whether that is learning, love, empathy, or compassion. Or you could say, I am whole as I am and worthy of goodness. And then I have a quote that says, everything in the universe wants to be loved and accepted. Our personal work is to find the love and acceptance within ourselves, from Shakti Gawain. And I really think that's true. I think that, when we connect with our personal truth, that's when we follow our passions, we live our purpose. And the message I really want is everybody is unique and we need to find our authentic self. We should not be living on someone else's rules or what someone else wants us to do, because that in the long run is not going to make us happy.
So how did you find the exact opposite? What was the inspiration? Did you have any help in that, or did you read books, or how
I'm
did
an avid reader. Avid reader. Last year, I must have read over 3 dozen books. I mean, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. When I first started out, I was a salesperson. Then I moved into the food industry, and I used to go to, when I was younger, all these motivational, inspirational things like with Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy and all this kind of stuff. And I go, I want to do that one day. One day I want to get up and speak. Well, fast forward a few decades and here I am. It's funny how the universe works, and, we cycle back to what was important to us. But I really think that we should all be lifelong learners, and reading books, listening to podcasts, whatever it is, that helps to get your inspiration up. I mean, you need to find what is going to energize you and motivate you to move forward.
And that includes music, that includes
Yes, for
other
sure.
people. So in our conversation, you had a really good network of friends, of people around you. Talk about that and how supportive that they were for you to shift into your new life.
I think it's important to have, and it could be a big network, but even just one or two really good friends, you need be able to have a safe space to go to. You need to be able to share your feelings, your emotions, and you can't do that with everybody. It's got to be somebody who is not going to be judgmental towards whatever you're saying. But I do think that we don't walk this journey alone. We are supposed to be here to help others, and sometimes others help ourselves. It's just part of our connection to life, our connection to nature. We can't separate one person from another. I just really believe in that one connection.
So pick up your book again and thumb through it again and find something else.
Okay, let's see what they want to tell me
this
today.
Is the fun part of our program, where you get to thumb through a book. Some people do like the Bible or something inspirational. I've even done it in the Science of Mind textbook. So go ahead.
I think it's always the message we need to learn or want to hear today, that we need this. So this one is, I have to instead speak this. I have the freedom to make my own choices. I dropped any self-imposed language, and I want to. Instead of saying I have to, just change your dialogue to say I want to. And I love this quote by Stephen R. Covey. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. So make sure when you schedule, you are putting in what makes you happy. Not everybody gets to do their passion for a living, but I think if you can, whatever your hobby or your passion is, that if you can do that even 1 hour a week, then that is going to help you to find more joy in your life. But you need to schedule time for yourself. I believe meditation's important. And some people get like, ooh, meditation, but it's just about being still. It's just about sitting in silence, because I think the silence is where we get sometimes wonderful inspiration.
Yes. So in your book, Wake Up, Change Up, and Rise Up, you talk a lot about self-care. So what are some things that individuals can do, especially if they're going through grief, to take care of themselves?
I really think that writing is healing. I think that just getting words to paper, whether you're doing that on a computer, a phone, or an actual pen and paper, I think that helps, because sometimes when we're writing, thoughts and feelings come up that we're not even aware of. So I think it helps to bring what is hidden back into the open. I'm a big believer of therapy, that sometimes you need an outside person to help you through this, but of course it's finding the right therapist.
Yes.
I don't believe in holding in your emotions. I think you need to express that, but in a safe place. Like I said, not everybody is a safe environment to express your emotions. I believe uplifting music helps you, but sometimes sad music. Sometimes you just need to cry and you want to watch a movie or you want to hear a sad song, and that's okay, because that helps to release what is being trapped inside. Because there's a book called the Body Keeps Score, that our minds like hold in all this tension and we don't even realize it. And if we're in this fight or flight mode for years, that it just causes physical pain and stuff.
Yes.
And, we need to release that. I think that whether it's taking baths, reading, spending time alone, I really think whatever works for you. I even have a little part of the book about meditation, where I take a cup of tea and I sip it, and it's being in the present moment. That's really important. It's just being in the present moment, because we can't change the past. The future are just what ifs. The only power we have is in the present moment, and finding ordinary moments to be happy, whether that is a phone call from a friend or reading a quote, or, just little things. Because I do think when we look back on our lives, a lot of what brings us happiness and joy are all the little things, whether that's having coffee with a friend, taking a walk in nature, which I'm a big proponent in walking, because I think that helps us to find that we're more than just ourselves, that there's this big world out there and we're connected to it. It also helps to release emotions, but it also brings me inspiration. Sometimes, like, I'm writing, and if I get stuck, I'll take a 20-minute or a half-hour walk. And it's funny because I come back with, okay, I got this. I got some inspiration. So I think movement, and that could be dancing too, or any form of exercise, gardening even.
A lot of my friends garden. So I think that that's a wonderful way of taking care of yourself. So on your book, Speak This, Not That, how do you recommend to go through that book? Just to read everything, or to do like we did and just kind of do a flip through? Then I have a follow-up to that too.
Yes, you can do whatever feels good, or you can take it, and because it's broken down into sections like success or joy, you can take just one of the affirmations, and that could be your daily affirmation. Pick one of the three and use that as an intention to set your day.
All right. So how do you find out how you're thinking? And the reason I ask this is because that I've had some things happen around me that, again, people will come up to me and say, do you really want that? Or they'll point out something to me, again, in a loving manner of, well, you use that word a lot, or you use that, that phrase a lot. Is that something that really supports you? So how do we find out about some of these misbeliefs that we have that aren't really serving us?
That's a tough question because I think a lot of times we have this it's called negativity bias. Our brain goes right to the negative instead of the positive. And this comes from earlier days when we needed the fight or flight mode because a tiger was coming to, get us. But we have to become aware, which is the biggest part. Most of the time, we have this mindless, constant negative chatter in our brain that we don't even realize what's going on. So we have to take time to reflect and see what our beliefs and are telling us. Are they moving us forward, or are they keeping us stuck? We need to pay attention. I think a lot of people today, we're so busy with work and social media and other commitments, we don't take time to reflect. And I think it's very important to do that.
So were there some things that helped you besides affirmations to help you rewrite your story?
Affirmations, positive quotes, books on grief, and then, those books on grief turned into more positive books on, how to find happiness and, how the mind works, because I'm fascinated by how our mind works. And I think that we don't realize a lot of times that we have a choice and changing our internal dialogue. And once we realize that, then we can move forward for a better life, because all we really want is to have a better day, right? That's all we're looking for. We're not, maybe we're looking 10 years down the road, but really all we need to concentrate on what is going to bring happiness to me today.
And I want to share with our audience is that you don't have to do this alone. Okay. One of the things that I think that a lot of spiritual seekers miss is the power of community. We recently had one of our members had a fire. And so what we're doing as a community is we're putting together a love basket and also a cash donation to help them through. And I think that that's one of the things that that's the reason I affiliate with a church. You don't have to have a church or a center, but that's one of the reasons why I do and am involved in community. It's not because I hold the title of reverend. It's because, again, that really helps me to have loving people around me that say, you're not your normal chipper self. What's going on? Or to really, again, to call me on my behavior sometimes. And people that say, do you really want that in your life? When we speak it, we birth it. And so one of the things I recommend is that, again, if you notice a negative thought, at least don't say it. Don't say it out loud. Just, again, that's something for your journal. And again, for some folks, especially, and I've noticed this in 12-step programs, some people really don't know how to think and how to get their life around. And so that's why I encourage everyone here is to, as you're watching this, is again, to get help, get support. Again, a therapist, loving community, spiritual minister, spiritual practitioner, someone, again, you have people around you that love you, that will love you through whatever change that you're going on. And this is the right time to go back to community. I noticed a few weeks ago, again, we started getting new members on Sunday mornings, and each had something that they wanted to, or they felt stuck in, that they needed to work through. So again, you're expected to go to your spiritual community. And that, again, we have lots of, people here on the New Thought Media Network. We are not that untouchable organization. You can always write us. My email is below. Plus also the other, you can contact us through prayer@ntmedia.org also. So we're about, half an hour flies by quick. So what what are some parting thoughts you'd like to leave with everyone today?
Well, I'd like to let everyone know that, we're never going to get rid of all of our negativity. That's just the way our brain works. And when we become more aware of what's going on in our heads, then we can change the dialogue. And that community is very important. And connecting with even just, a couple people will help you to move through your challenges. And I don't know if you know this, but people who have a sense of community and are connected to community live longer than people who are more solitude. So
That
if you want to live
yes.
longer, then find that community and find the right community. I mean, sometimes you may have to travel around to different ones, but find people who are not trying to make you what you are not, be more like them. Find somebody who loves and accepts you with all your quirkiness and all that. So
And a wonderful place again to look for that again is Unity Churches, also Centers for Spiritual Living, anything New Thought. I think that those are the places that I found that for me were extremely supportive. And that, so again, when you go to one of those communities, that you are not thought of as a sinner or someone who needs fixed. That again, and that's, a lot of these seeker-friendly churches in evangelical Christianity, they go ahead and they say, oh, everyone's welcome. But again, that when you walk through the door, it's the whole thing of we need to convert you. Whereas in our centers and other spiritual groups is that we are here to assist and help you on the path. So there's nothing about you to change. You don't have a sinful nature or now there may be some things that you want to change, but the change is up to you though. So just know that again, if you are seeking after community or people, again, one of the best places I have found has always been New Thought churches and, again, my own brand of Center for Spiritual Living. Lynn Lok-Payne, thank you so very much. Let me go ahead and get the books up again. This is her latest book, Speak This, Not That. And again, it's on sale at Amazon. You can either download it to your Kindle or you can, again, get the paperback or hardcover. The other one, her first book was called Wake Up, Change Up, and Rise Up. These are practical tools for personal transformation. Again, the books are reasonably priced, so you can go ahead and you can download them on your Kindle, or you can get the Kindle app, put it on your computer, and start working through these books. These are very, very powerful tools that you could use, again, to change your life around today, to start the change. And so, again, it's how we think about it. We have a choice here. So again, when the shift hits the fan, I did not cuss. When the shift hits the fan, that you're able then to go ahead and to work through it, and that's a part of your spiritual growth and development. Lynn Lok-Payne, you've been a delight.
So
really
have
appreciate
Michael.
you being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to all the listeners out there.
All right. Thank you. That was Lynn Lok-Payne. And again, her books, Wake Up, Change Up, and Rise Up. And also the other book, her latest book called Speak This, Not That. How wonderful. All right. Boy, an hour flies by quickly when you're having fun. So we will see you next week. Again, if you miss any of our programs here on New Thought Media Network, go to our YouTube page and please subscribe. That really is helping us, again, to monetize the channel and for us to get the support that we need to be able to keep this network running. So again, you don't even have to give us money, just subscribe, and that really helps us. So for Lynn Lok-Payne and the rest of our staff here at the New Thought Media Network, I am Reverend Michael Mangus, and I'm going to wish you a wonderful
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.